3 tips for the first competition. Now, oftentimes I coach beginners and they ask me questions like, well, I've been training for 6 months and I'm going to be facing my first opponent in my first competition. Do you have any tip? Well, here it goes. First of all, go there with a game plan. A game plan is something that you should have all the way from your very first competition to ADCC finals. Okay, Gordon Ryan, when he fights in the ADCC finals, he has a game plan. So should you. Okay. Now, game plans, they might work, they might not work, but there's no downside to having one. Okay. And I understand that as a beginner, as a complete beginner, you might say, well, I don't have that much of a game plan because, I have one sweep and maybe one submission. Let's say you have one sweep from close guard and one submission from mount. Well, that's not nothing. My recommendation is that you start working your way backwards from these 2 data points. And you say, well, I know this, and I know that. Okay, well, ask your coach, well, how do I get to close guard? Because that's the only thing I can do, right? Okay, well, right, how do I get to close guard? Okay, nice. Once I'm there, I know that there's at least one thing that I can do. Okay, great. Let's say I get a sweep from close guard. Okay, can we maximize the sweep from close guard so that you can go to mount as soon as possible and kind of hit the other data point? If you can, well, you got yourself a game plan. Okay. Instead of trying to work a game plan from, let's say, in the vacuum, try to work your way backwards based on what you already know. Limited that might be. Okay. That would be definitely my game plan recommendation. Second tip, if you can, pick a competition with round robin. Okay. What is round robin? Well, round robin is a system in which it's an elimination system in which even if you lose a match, you're not completely out of the competition. Everybody goes with everybody. It's kind of a technical thing. I don't quite understand because I've never had to kind of build a round robin myself. But the main idea behind the round robin is that you get more than one shot. And if you go to an BJJF competition, let's say, or to an ADCC Open, which I probably wouldn't recommend as a first competition anyway, you go there, if you lose the first round, you're just simply out. Okay, and obviously it's kind of demoralizing, it's a bit frustrating when you go there and it's like you lose with a guy that ends up winning, and it's like, what am I even doing here? But if you get a chance to maybe, get a few rounds, as in a few fights in, even if you lose them all, which could be likely if it's your first competition and you've been training for 6 months, you're still going to have much more competition experience and you're going to have more fun because each match has somehow lower stake because you know that if you lose, well, you don't just pack your stuff and go home. Okay? So if you can, pick a competition with round robin. Okay? If you're not sure, ask your coach, they'll know. My third tip, I know this is going to sound horribly stereotypical. It's an absolute commonplace, but please have fun. Okay? Competitions can be very stressful, and there might be a lot of stakes. Maybe your family is there to see you, maybe your friends, maybe your partner, your coach, your training partners, and they're all there they kind of expect you to win because they kind of do, let's be honest, and it can be very stressful. Please try and have fun. Okay, it's a terrible commonplace, but it's a commonplace because it's true. Okay, your first competition is not a baptism of fire. You're not going to become a warrior. You're not going to become. It's not any of those things. It's not a rite of passage. Any of those things. Okay, unless you're a professional, but it's just very. You probably wouldn't. It's just entirely different. If there's money on the line, career on the line, it's just it's not about having fun anymore. If you have your job, if this is jiu-jitsu is just a hobby, please go and try to have fun. It's really, really important. If you think that your first competition is going to be a rite of passage, is going to make you stronger, none of that is true. Okay, what's going to happen is that you're going to go there, you're going to stress out, you're going to You're going to probably lose in performance, and your baptism of fire, your rite of passage, you're just going to be sort of wiggling your legs underneath someone's side control for about 3 to 4 minutes. Then the referee is going to call a stop, put back on your feet, raise your opponent's hands, and you're just going to go home, and that's going to be that. That's going to be your rite of passage, okay? So please, there's nothing mystical about this. There's nothing, it's a very mundane, it's a very secular experience. Just go there, have fun, stay with your friends, cheer a bit, and go home.